And it's the last episode of the Brutal Update. Already? Yes. So anyway, we got punishment here. You get it from shield bearers. I actually got one from a elite shield bearer, which is kind of surprising. But aside from looking pretty cool, what it does is it pretty much works like a blood shield, except instead of causing an AoE bleed damage, it now just does, well, regular damage. There's nothing too special about it. I like the sprite and everything, but it's just a shield for right now. Maybe we'll get a unique sprite later. Next up, from the orb casters here, you got this blueprint. Pyrotechnics. Pyrotechnics is an interesting one. It's definitely one that I'm going to be doing a challenge run with eventually. You know, when the assassin is a little less having millions of health. I'll talk about that in a few seconds. Well, in a couple minutes. Another skill that will, well, another weapon that will do a bit of extra damage against things with oil. I like seeing a bit of synergy with that. Aside from that, it's pretty much just a straight fireball. And then you go 1, 2, 3, and the fourth hit is a larger fireball. It's pretty alright. It seems like you get a large, well, a kind of tiny-ish AoE explosion at the end, well, whenever you hit an enemy with it. Last thing we got here is the Denial Wave. Get that from a bombardier in the clock tower. You know, the guys that are like grenadiers that shoot like the big exploding grenades. This is the one that they were teasing on one of the updates leading up to the Brutal Update here. And with a ton O tactics, you can just spam that thing like crazy. Decent amount of damage, does extra damage when pushing enemies into a wall, sort of like a variation on like the Impaler, for example. If you're wondering how the assassin fight went with that, it was maybe about 20 seconds before I got killed. I didn't have too much health there. This bit is just kind of me showing off a little bit of the Ice Shock and Ice Crossbow. Ice Crossbow, you tap it to do kind of like a ice bow shot, except it comes out even faster. Hold it down to do basically what's like heavy crossbow. Ice Shock, on the other hand, it works essentially just like a ice version of the Firebrands. Doesn't freeze things, but it does cause them to be slowed down, which is pretty useful. Obviously, you get the critical hit when enemies are in water or they have oil on them. You can shoot that ice crossbow pretty fast if you want to. Enemies will pretty quickly start resisting it, but, you know. You can get some quality hits there. I like the idea of it being kind of a heavy crossbow and a combination ice bow. Or improved ice bow. Oh, the Ice Shock also, when it hits something, it does a little bit of a just a tiny explosion, about the size of Pyrotechnics, actually. I don't know if you're ever wondering what was on the left side of the promenade. I don't know, I just threw this in here because I did it. Nope, can't do ledge grabs there. I also screwed around a bit with the crow's feather. There's no, like, floating islands up in the sky or any other cool stuff. It seems like you're mostly supposed to use that for the lightning stuff, the crow's feather, but Also checked out a bit of the graveyard here. That's an alternate part. There were the host zombies, and there's now the cavern here in place of the repository of the architects. What does that mean? I don't know. The repository was red, cavern's blue, so it's clearly something different. But yeah, if you beat the... God, what's the name of it? The Watcher. If you beat the Watcher, the area after that either leads to the graveyard or the Slumbering Sanctuary. And if you go to the graveyard then leads you, instead of going to the Insufferable Crypt, into the Sepulchre. It's probably the best way to get the maximum amount of stat gains, going through the sewers to graveyard to Sepulchre to the assassin fight. If you're trying to go for like maximum stat gain, you also get a lot of like shops in that too, and then you also get but the thing is, what you lose out on is that the Slumbering Sanctuary and the Clock Tower both have guaranteed curse chests. So if you're looking to get like colorless items, that's the best way to do it. Anyway, next bit here is just a simple, successful run. After you go through the incomplete one fight, you can either go to the Fog Fjord, or if you have the wall climbing rune, you can jump up and go right to the Slumbering Sanctuary. It's pretty much the easiest way to get to the Slumbering Sanctuary. You don't have to fight the Watcher, and as far as I'm concerned, that's much easier. Yeah, so the last little bit here, this is a surprisingly successful run. I have kind of adapted a bit to like the extreme difficulty instead of building up brutality like I normally would before. Brutality, I think, is doing less like improvements on red skills now, which means you're doing like less damage, or enemies just have more health. I'm not sure which. And combine that with the fact that you're not getting the extra health with that. It's really the loss of damage that is more of the issue to me. I've just been building straight on tactics. And then combined with that, I either try to go for a colorless weapon. For example, I'm using a, like, I think it's a Balance Blade 1, so it's not super great, but it's much better than like something that would actually be building off of brutality would be, so it's worthwhile for that alone. So say Balance Blade's a pretty decent weapon. And what I've been kind of building with tactics is I've been going for Aura of Laceration. Even when I picked up the Aura of Laceration blueprint, like for the first time, kind of checked it out, I kind of almost considered it a weapon by itself. Which is why I tried to... you can actually find the video of me doing the challenge run just using the Aura of Laceration. It wasn't successful at that time, but now that you have a lot more control over shops, I might revisit that in the future. But yeah, that's one of the major ones that I've been going with. You get a lot of damage, tons and tons of AoE damage. It's really good for going through the clock tower, which has, well, so many enemies that there's actually some pretty serious slowdown at parts in that. And I've also been choosing, like, something that does good AoE damage. Knife Storm is really great for the extra bleed damage. If you get something that, like, builds off a bleed, like an Aura of Laceration that gets extra percent extra damage from getting bleed, that's really good for... Boy, this was kind of risky going in here with curses, but if if you can't find any more enemies, that's kind of how it goes. Yeah, if you get the extra bleed damage, that's great. Flame Grenade... Yeah, if you get like a Flame Grenade and extra damage on the Aura of Laceration, that's really good too. I almost think that what you want to do is you want to try to get some sort of synergy. With the ability to re-roll items and all that. Oh hey, it's an Elite Golem. Let's go, round 2, buddy. Boy, was that a far cry from my first encounter with these guys. When you actually know how they work and you have builds, well, and you kind of plan out a proper build. Like I said, being able to re-roll items, you can kind of pick and choose what sort of modifiers you want on stuff, as long as you got the money. And you can get some real powerful builds. That does not help against the Assassin, who again has like 5 or like to 7 million health. Million! For comparison, the Watcher at his prime had about 120,000 health. 120,000 health compared to like 7 million health. If you want to see exactly how the ludicrous health pool that the Assassin has, check out my The Dance achievement video. I had a cursed sword that does over 1 million damage per second, and I was still like... I don't know, it still took more than a few hits, like a dozen or so to take the Assassin down. Oh, yeah, that's why after this video, I'm pretty much going to be kind of waiting until the Assassin is a little less crazy, then right back to the challenge runs. But when it comes to just doing, your regular, trying to go through, grinding out all the blueprints, or just kind of seeing all the areas, I think that, like, Aura of Laceration, you just can't beat that. It's super good. I'm a big fan. Yeah, like I said, get like a Flame Grenade, build full-on tactics. You can see that's like a 3-4 second cooldown before you can reuse that. Spam it all the time. Oop, there's another golem there. And then try to get like a plus 100% damage if poisoned. Throw on like poison cloud with that. Try to get like plus 100% burn damage. Throw on burn with that. Throw on like a flame grenade with that. There's a lot of options that you can do, and all of them will take out, you know, general riffraff enemies pretty easily, and really even bosses, except for the assassin, who is so tanky, so much of a damage sponge that you just cannot even touch her unless you have the most powerful of weapons. Oh yeah, the assassin is in fact female. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Look closer at her sprite, you'll notice. Also, she's got a bared midriff, which is somewhat scandalous. Oh, and you know what? Come on, sit down. Let's go over to the good old-fashioned lore corner. So, Spider-Girl in the Forgotten Sepulchre mentioned that you had kind of caught the attention of her. Why she was interested in you. The assassin is female. Was the Spider-Girl referring to the assassin? Maybe. Why would the assassin be trying to kill you? You're just some resurrected corpse trying to make his way in the world, in this terrible, terrible prison island. Doesn't really make any sense as far as that goes. The way I see it, the prisoner, the player character here is if you ever played like Planescape Torment, he's kind of like the nameless one in that respect. He's like the one undead guy that kept all of his intelligence and potentially fighting ability. That doesn't really explain why the assassin would want to kill him. And the assassin is intelligent. She does talk to you, like with real words, and not just kind of yelling at you constantly like the incomplete one. I don't know. It could very well be that she is the person. Oh, sorry, that was a crash. Anyway, another thing to note is that she is also a blue-skinned humanoid, like the person that you're possessing. I always thought that the player character here just had like a bunch of clothes on, but no, he actually has blue skin. And the assassin does too. So that's not just a weird post-mortem discoloration. It's like, no, blue-skinned humanoids are a thing in this world. And we know that it's like, that's not just like the only people. Oscar, tutorial guy at the start, is, you know, basically just a white dude. So maybe that's why she's trying to kill you? Maybe there's some sort of relationship between you two? I don't know. Well, anyway, that's Lore Corner for the day. Hey, check it out. Back in the clock tower, and in this time, I'm not going to be getting killed constantly because I can't take out like 50 enemies at once. No, now it's basically trivial to the point that I can grab the curse chest pretty consistently in here. At this time, I had not yet gotten the Wave of Denial. I had found the Wave of Denial once, the Wave of Denial blueprint once, and died. Funny enough, the Wave of Denial was the last blueprint that I got, and it took like literally 200-300 kills the bombardiers. I was seriously considering just being like, I guess I'll just save it for another episode. Maybe the Hunter's Grenade will be fixed by then. And then I can also do like a showcase the Hunter's Grenade. That would have been cool. No, viewer. I decided, apparently the bombs can move the chest? That's maybe something to look at later for doing some dumb, stupid things. What if you can kill an enemy by dropping a chest on them? Maybe stupid videos for the future. But anyway. Yeah, I died stupidly because at that point I was still building. I did find the blueprint, but at that point I was still building Brutality, so I had an extremely low health and died almost immediately to one of the cannibals. It was embarrassing. Also, something I noticed when going through here with this build, the Aura of Laceration causes enemies that die to explode into poison, and you can see that also includes the little background objects there too, which explode into poison. And then I think I get like extra damage on poisoned enemies? I don't remember. So it's like it explodes into poison, and then enemies that are poisoned by the background objects exploding into poison take like twice as much damage from the Aura of Laceration. It's an amazing synergy for this area. Yeah, like I was saying, it took me a while to get the Wave of Denial, and the fact that I had it, it was in my grasp, and yet still just like my own stupid ability to just not get killed by the cannibals. Which, in that first video, you saw me, or in the first part of the Brutal update, I did sit there and watch exactly what their abilities were, and still got swiped right immediately. And that was right at the start of the area, too. Regrets! But I got it now. That's like all the abilities. I definitely... Yeah, like I was saying, when it comes to doing the challenge runs, I'm waiting for the assassin to not have literally millions of health. But as soon as that happens, I think that I'm going to, well, obviously go with the weapons that exist now. The Pyrotechnics is definitely going to be one of them. Ice Shock, definitely going to be one of them. The bows I'm still kind of on the fence about because you have to wait a while, and waiting is boring, and I don't like waiting to get all the arrows back after you shoot them. I tried to do a challenge run with the repeater crossbow at one point, and it was like, even taking... Yeah, here you can see me just re-roll stuff constantly until I get, like, the perfect items. Tonic's super good if you're building, like, Brutality or something, because it can be refilled now instead of virtually the same thing. I might as well just keep what I have. Yeah, tonic, now that you can refill the tonic at the healing fountain instead of having it disappear upon use, it's become really good. For the dance video, I took it solely for... Oh yeah, and you can see there, after you reroll enough times, the reroll machine disappears. Really, until you're at the end of the game and you're getting like tons and tons of money, you're generally not even going to reach that point because you just don't have the cash for it. I mean, it's because you can sell things. Like, I was getting like, what, like 30,000, 40,000 gold for selling one of the necklaces I got from Elite. It's like, yeah, you get a lot of money in the end game here. And I think that's kind of why they decided to give the assassin as much health as they did, because their reasoning would be something along the lines of, well, if you're getting exponentially more powerful, why not exponentially level up the enemy's health? And it's like, no, that just makes it really difficult to kill some enemies. Nah. Ugh. But yeah, challenge runs. And so yeah, I'm still kind of on the fence about doing like a more of the bow and arrow type runs. I tried one with a repeater crossbow where I even got like I think it was like 2 flame grenades with the drop arrows prefix on them, but it's still too much kind of waiting around hoping that you get your arrows back. Of course, that was during the Watcher fight too, where the Watcher was kind of hard to hit even with a bow and arrow, so it could be a bit better with the Assassin. Hard to say. Aside from that, Assassin's going to be way better fighting her with a shield only setup, with like skill only setup, all that sort of stuff. And I definitely think I can do skills now. The big thing with doing skills before was that, well, you had to find the skills, and finding like the Aura of Laceration, I was just mash and reset over and over and over until I finally found one in the prison cells. Here, what you can do is you can choose a specific category in a shop, and then just re-roll until you get that skill. Then I don't have to worry about it. Assassin. Oh, yeah. If you thought that my video of the dance wasn't dancey enough, check this out. Well, especially because that was more of a shock and awe. This is more like a proper battle. Yeah, especially way more so than like the fights that I was doing in the first video that I did, the Brutal update here, where didn't really get too far into the fight, didn't really see everything that the assassin was capable of because, well, I killed her too fast. Yeah, the first day she had too little health, now she has way too much. The big thing with dodging her attacks, at least the big problem that I have, is that it becomes very hard to dodge her attacks when she starts throwing out multiple shuriken. Just jump there. And that signifies phase 2, where she gets extra combos, starts throwing extra extra shuriken, and then also gets the ability to do that line dash on the ground. You know, where she... is it right here, I think, that she does it? No, not quite. And then there is obviously the third phase, too. Oh, it was pointed out in the comments, another shout out right here, that the grab that she does on you, that one, is not actually a stun. That's the line dash. Is not actually a stun. You can parry her when she gets the grab in on you, and that will prevent you from taking damage. Something that would have helped me so much in the second update, in the second part of the brutal update here. Definitely something I remember later, but you know, that doesn't stand her. Yeah. Here's the final phase, which I never got to see prior to this. And there are the swords, which, well, look kind of like the brutal update logo that they were going for here. Watch out, they do a ton of damage if they hit you. But yeah, there, if you have the ability to parry her when she does that. It will save you a lot of damage. Ugh. Other than that, yeah. Assassin, I think, will be a pretty decent fight for doing skills, for doing shields, but kinda gotta wait until she's a bit better balanced, because bleh. Also something I never pointed out before, but you can see the runes on the actual clock in the background, like that, the one on the left is the rune that they always use for the secret areas. The one on the top is the rune that always appears above, like, chests. I think I'm like some sort of... I don't know if that's like a real language or something made up for the game, but hey, it's kind of consistent. Apparently those mean numbers or something. Getting some bad hits in because I'm trying to heal, but it's like, that's pretty much... I mean, when you're healing, you just kind of have to take the hit, I think, in this battle. There you go. That's how you do it. And that was a pretty close one, too. I've had better fights. I've had better fights since with her. But, yeah, that about wraps up all the new content that you're going to get from the Brutal update. I'm looking forward to seeing how they kind of balance, rebalance, unbalance some of the stuff. Fix things like the Hunter's Grenade, especially. But until then... You can't actually jump off here. I thought that would be a funny death, but no. You can do this, though. Well, I'll see you next time for the challenge run.